Welcome to the Radio Toons podcast. How is it going?
It's going good, man. Had a really good weekend.
Cool. I am Steve.
I'm Ernie.
And we are your hosts. Today we're going to be talking about Sonic Forces. At least for a little bit.
Well, just a little bit, because you've already kind of made your verdict of the whole thing, and I'm still going to play it.
I wanted to say this about it, okay? I'm pretty sure that everybody knew this game was going to suck. Maybe not.
But how did they know it was going to suck? Because it looked
Because when has Sonic made a good game besides Mania? They're all pretty bad. And as somebody who actually enjoys Sonic games, I can say that. You know, like I enjoy them because I like Sonic, but I don't necessarily think they're amazing games. Like they have.
Yeah, but you know, you just said it yourself. Sonic Mania was a game that was like, oh, it's only $40. It's gonna be $20. Sorry, it's only $20. It's gonna be a retread of a bunch of other stuff. But I played through it. I had a lot of fun. I played through a couple more times. It was fun.
But it was made by fans, basically.
Okay, fine, but you know, it's still a good Sonic game.
Even though it's a retread. That's why I'm saying, like, that is the exception.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, wasn't Sonic Forces done like as like this big endeavor? And wasn't it Sonic Team?
Sonic Team hasn't made anything good in a while.
Oh, jeez.
What all I was gonna say is, like, okay, the game is $40, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that excuses it. You know, really, like it shouldn't be judged on that basis alone. But it's really okay. Let me go ahead and give you the good things first. All right.
Okay.
The good parts.
Give me the good stuff.
Yeah. The music. I like a lot of the songs in it. Although there are a lot of songs that have vocals, and that really bothers me because I a lot of the Avatar stages have vocals on the music track, and it kind of ruins it for me. So I don't really like that. But a lot of the Sonic stages still have good songs and all that. The Sonic stages are actually pretty fun.
Okay.
Some of the Avatar ones are a little bit like, just really uninspired, like level design here. Especially classic Sonic is just like, why is he in this game? It doesn't really fit. I feel like they were going too broad. You know, they were trying to appeal like to everyone, and it really doesn't work.
Because you know that always works out, right?
I think that's the main point I want to make, is that this game overall just feels really uninspired, and like another fucking title that they needed to push out there, and it's not really anything groundbreaking. Basically, you know, it's still one of these modern, like, boost through this entire stage really fast kind of thing.
Does it feel like a cash grab?
Yeah, I mean, that's how Sonic games have felt in the past, like, fucking 10 years to me.
Yeah.
But other good thing about it, the avatar maker, or the create your own character, right?
Right, that was the big thing
That was the only reason I bought the game. Because, you know, I haven't played a Sonic game in a long time. I think Generations was the last one I played.
And Mania.
Mania doesn't count. I'm talking about 3D Sonic games.
Fair enough.
It's a different realm. I only bought it for the Avatar Maker, and I actually really enjoy that. And like, it is kind of, it does get me to play the game more. That you unlock more stuff the more you play. Like, you get an S rank on a stage, you unlock stuff. So I want to go back and like, let me get an S rank on this stage. You know,
that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So it's like things that you can add to your avatar or change.
Yeah, like clothes and all this stuff, which is pretty cool. I have a bunch of avatars. I could put up pictures if you guys want to see them.
No, we don't want to see them, Steve.
No, that's okay then. I feel weird too, because it's like there's something about Sonic's design that I really love. I don't think I'll ever not like Sonic's design, you know. But
classic or new?
I like the new one. I like them both, but it's just weird because it's almost like Sonic is now like a guilty pleasure, because his games are always like critically panned, and it's almost like people will talk shit to you if you like Sonic games, you know.
You know, when I heard about that game, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like every Sonic fan's wet dream, because all I ever saw was on DeviantArt and like Newgrounds was, this is my OC Sonic character.
Well, that's what I thought was a good sign coming from this game. Is like, okay, they're gonna embrace something that's been around.
Right.
That's their step in the right direction, basically.
Right.
But the level design is like, it's.
Is it as bad as like 06?
No. But I honestly feel like there's really only like 3 stages in the whole fucking game that I'm like, I would want to play that again, or I'm gonna turn the game on to play this again. And there's only 30 stages. You can beat the game like in 3 or 4 hours.
Oh wow,
So, yeah.
really?
Yeah. So I mean,
Well, here's what I'll say about that, because it did cost you $40.
yeah.
That's not a full game. That's not a AAA title.
Right.
So I don't know if you should hold it to that standard. I mean,
If we're gonna be talking $40, though, I've bought Overwatch for $40 and I've been playing it for like a year and a half.
right,
already,
but okay. There's the rub is that Overwatch is only multiplayer. That's all it has.
Yeah.
So that's why it is only $40. There's
Well-
no like campaign.
No, you're right, and that's why I think that Sonic Forces should have focused on something rather than trying to do, oh, it's classic Sonic, oh, it's modern Sonic as well, oh, it's now you can create your own character as well, Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. There's one thing that's really fucking bad about it is a lot of the Sonic stages. I think some of the Avatar stages too have these parts where you basically just have to press B when like a little target pops up on screen.
Oh.
It's like QTEs, but it's
Yeah.
not. So
They-
the level will end in a huge cutscene where you're constantly just mashing B because a target will come up and tell you what to do or something. Mm-hmm. And it's like, me as somebody who was going back and trying to get S ranks and stuff,
Right.
I have to watch this fucking cutscene like 30 times. Like it gets really exhausting.
That was one of the parts. You know what? That's one of the parts I really hated about. I think it was Resident Evil 4. Was those parts where like Leon has to do those quick time events.
Yeah.
Where he does like the little like close quarter combat kind of things where like somebody's trying to stab him, and you have to dodge and
Sure.
dodge, and then he gets stabbed or blah blah blah. Those are the parts I already hated. And what was worse is that you'd have to watch the whole cutscene over again. It had to be done flawlessly,
Well,
in one shot.
Resident Evil 4 was how long ago? And this game came out last week, and they still don't know that
Yeah.
people don't like
People
this
don't
shit.
like these things.
So that's what I'm saying is, like, it's been too long. Like, you guys need to do away with things that, like, aren't
But I'll say
good.
this.
What?
I like them in Bayonetta.
Yeah, I mean, done correctly, or, like, if they're
Well, because
short...
it's only two. It's only two things. So it's like jump out of the way and then move this way. That's
Right,
usually it. And if you fail, they take a little of your life and you start it again. But
forget
it's
what-
such a quick cutscene, though.
What game was it? I forget which one it is. There was a game where, like, if you failed the QTE cutscene or something, all it would do was start the like boss battle normally. But if you did it, it would take health off of it.
Oh yeah,
That might be Bayonetta. I'm not sure. But anyway,
I think it was part 2.
maybe
Bayonetta part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Sonic stages they're okay. Like I said, there's a few that are actually pretty fun, and I mean, like I played it all week, so I mean, I guess I got my money's worth. Whatever.
Can you clarify something though? Because you keep saying it, and for those people who don't know, what's
What?
the difference between a Sonic stage and an Avatar stage?
Oh, okay. So modern Sonic, or whatever the fuck you want to call him, has stages by himself where he can boost through the stage and all that shit.
Okay.
And then you have Avatar stages where you're your own character that you created, and you have like this weird like grappling hook that comes out of your arm or your wrist,
Okay.
and that's like your main thing. Because I guess they couldn't have you boost like Sonic because Sonic is his own guy or something, and he's
Okay.
special.
Yeah. I guess
So
that's true.
You can't boost. You have like this little thing, and then you also have like a weapon called a Wispin, and that thing like allows you to like you either have like a flamethrower or you have like an electric whip or like a weird really weird stuff. I don't understand why you couldn't just be a clone of Sonic, right?
Right,
Because
because
that's what
they could have
everybody
made
wants to be is Sonic.
but their own version of Sonic.
Right. So again, this game is kind of like I played Sonic Unleashed back when it was when was it like 2009 I think when that game came out.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm saying the same thing, like, oh, I like the parts with Sonic in it, but this fucking new like Abomination, this werehog thing that they made, I don't like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's it's like they've been making the same mistakes for a long time, but their games keep selling, so they're not going to fix their mistakes, basically.
I'm gonna come up with a concept for a Sonic game that I thought would have been just as good as this one. I don't know the story of Sonic Forces, but
okay, let's hear it. Let's hear Ernie's pitch.
Robotnik has a ton of failed Sonic experiments where he's tried to combine animals with Sonic's super dash power.
Okay.
You play one of those abominations,
And that's it?
You've been programmed to hate Sonic. So you chase him through all these levels.
Okay.
Until the end where you realize that, oh, wait a minute. Sonic's not a bad guy. The person who created me is a bad guy.
Sonic is I am.
Exactly.
I see.
And then he instead takes out Robotnik.
Okay, gotcha.
Done.
That would be great, but it's not.
I mean, it's a better story than I saw you.
Yeah, so like
Sonic fades away at the end. Oh my god!
I mean that's another reason why I guess I mean if you're a fan of this podcast, you know that I like a certain kind of thing. I like things that are kind of hilariously bad sometimes.
Yes.
So I guess you can see why I would still enjoy this game. You know.
I guess it's super cheesy.
The cutscenes are pretty lame and.
The voice acting is strangely off too.
The story is so weird. The story is like Sonic isn't dead, but everybody thinks he's dead. So the game starts with Sonic battling this guy called Infinite.
Okay. Great name, by the way.
Yeah, he's a terribly designed. I don't really like how he looks. But his Infinite's power is like he makes you see illusions or something. So he makes Sonic believe that he's surrounded by like Metal Sonic and Chaos and all these other bad guys. He's from other games,
right?
And they all attack him, and like they kill him or something, presumably, right?
Okay.
And so it says like it says like a month later or 3 months later or something, and that's when your guy is recruited. And
recruited?
Yeah, into what they call like
the Sonic Underground,
like the Sonic Forces or whatever.
Okay.
And it's like. Basically Sonic's friends, and they're like living in a bomb shelter kind of thing. Like
like the Freedom Fighters from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's funny? You say that you can't make any of those fucking characters in this game. Like you can't make Sally Acorn in this game.
Oh, you can't with the rabbit either.
Well, yeah, which is like why not? Like what the fuck?
Or Pierre or the Walrus.
Yeah. So I was like maybe. I mean, maybe that's some kind of like Archie Comics like rights.
That's probably the case. Yeah.
Because I know some of those artists are. Whatever, I'm not going to get into that. But, yeah, so that's the story, and then you one of your first missions is you have to go save Sonic from prison or something like that. But really,
I thought he was dead.
That's why, like, you go to the Death Egg or whatever to get Robotnik, and it turns out Sonic's there just in prison or something.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is...
That does sound lame, by the way.
This is weird, by the way, though, okay?
Like, you take this great caveat, Sonic's dead.
Yeah.
And then you basically break that in the first mission.
Yeah.
You're like, oh wait, he's not dead. Don't worry.
It's like mission 5 or something, I think.
All right, but that should be like a thing at the end, and then you get to replay all the levels as Sonic.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's like.
Well, you said it was a short game, right?
It is a short game, but what you just said right now is like, I would have been all for that if my character could just boost or even act like Sonic in any way. Because the Avatar characters are not amazing, like.
But that would be a great concept because, like, let's say that you're the one recruit. You know, I understand that there's a lot of people making their own avatars, but what if it was like you're the recruit that can run almost as fast as Sonic? So every level, you have these like places where you could get to if you were just as fast as Sonic. But you're just out of range, you know, kind of thing. So you beat the whole game, and then you get to unlock Sonic, and he gets to go through all those levels. So you get to revisit those levels as Sonic and get all that stuff that you missed
like
before.
Sonic Pathways or
something.
Exactly. Well, that would be fun. That's what's kind of fun about the Sonic stages is there's a lot of other paths you can take. Mm-hmm. There's leaderboards. The fastest times on there is like, it's always like somebody that has like a ridiculously fast time, like under a minute somehow. It's crazy. But that actually kind of made me like, whoa, I want to try and get this time or like try and do it as fast as possible. And you know, it is pretty fun in that regard. Like, that's what I've always liked about Sonic games is like, oh, let me try to beat this level fast or whatever. Sonic's all about,
I remember the last 3D version of Sonic that I really liked was the Sonic Adventure 2. And I used to always love playing this certain level over and over again because I was like, I know I can beat this better and faster, but I never understood the ranking system.
Yeah, the ranking system is
it's weird because it depends on time. Time is a big factor, obviously.
Right.
But like rings collected,
yeah,
damage taken, and then something else. It's like combos.
Well, in Sonic Adventure 2, yeah, it's like it's when you chain enemies together, like with homing attack, you'll get like a better ranking if you don't hit the ground and stuff like that.
Plus, collecting certain things also gets you.
But that's what I mean. Sonic stages can be done like in a minute, right?
Right.
That's so easy for me to say, like, oh, let me try this again. Let me go back into this and see if I can do this over
Especially
again.
those.
Right. Werehog stages in Unleashed were like 40 minutes sometimes.
That sucks, man.
Sonic Tails and Knuckles stages in Sonic Adventure 2 took a long time sometimes.
It depended on Knuckles, because if you went to the 3... Like, there was always 3 spots you could go to.
In the first stage, you can get it pretty fast. But later on, it's like... There's rooms that you have to dig through the walls. And
the pyramid one,
it gets so fucking annoying. Like,
yeah, I hated those levels.
But in the same way that, like, Sonic Adventure 2 has that, like, once you beat the game, you can go back to stage select and play whatever you want.
Right.
It has kind of that same appeal here because after I beat the game, I'm like, okay, let me go back and play the parts I liked.
Yeah.
And maybe get stuff from my avatar. Kind of like in Sonic Adventure 2. It's like, let me get animals from my Chow or something. Or, like, there's another reason to play the game, basically.
Yeah, the Chow, by the way, the Chows were a great little device to help you go back and play some
I love the Chow so much, but I just feel like they would never do that again. It's just too much work,
But was it that much work? I mean, all they did was race.
There was a lot of depth to those fucking things, dude.
Yeah, now I'm thinking back on it, all the different types of eggs and the different types of toys that you could bring.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. But yeah, so I actually hope that there's like some DLC or something. I wouldn't mind paying for DLC. I don't give a shit. I like I said, I like Sonic, so I don't really care. I will pay good money to have like more species to have as my avatars, or like, I don't know, just improvements overall, like patches, because that game is a little bit broken too. There's definitely times where I'm like, what happened? Why did I die? Or like, just the way the game moves sometimes is really like, this doesn't feel good.
Like erratic almost?
It just, that game isn't built, especially like modern Sonic and Avatar stages.
Yeah.
I'm like, these characters are not built for meticulous platforming. Like, you press forward on the joystick, they move way too far, or like...
That's probably... You're probably seeing it even more now because you and me have been playing Sonic or Mario Odyssey so much, and that's some really tight platforming.
No, I know, yeah. It's like you go from one of the fucking best platforming games in like the last 10 years to Sonic Forces. Yeah, I'm going to be pretty critical of it.
Yeah. It's a shame, really. But, they got to do what they got to do, man. They got to crank out a Sonic game like every 2 years so that Sega stays alive.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody on Twitter all the time, all they ever say is bring back Jet Set Radio.
Yeah. But no, like I said, I still enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you actually like Sonic. If you don't like Sonic, don't go anywhere near this game because you are not going to like it.
And just for anybody who thinks that that's the worst, like if anybody's played it and finished it and they think that's the worst ending to a Sonic game ever, I played Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the worst ending.
Why?
Because like the whole thing is wrapped around trying to save this genie, right? And when you save her, she's crying.
Okay.
And then Sonic wishes for 1,000,000 tissues so she could just cry it out.
Oh wow! Okay.
And that's how it ends.
But look, you know what? Sonic has usually done a pretty good job of like having a cool ending sequence.
It's all CG.
No, I don't mean that. You remember in Sonic and the Secret Rings, he turns into like this cool looking like
the Arabian version.
Yeah,
of him.
He has like a stripe on his head, and
he has
all
the circles around his points or whatever.
Yeah,
he looks really cool in that.
Yeah, he looks cool, and it's actually like, okay, wow.
I think they call it Jin Sonic or whatever.
I think it's Dark Spine Sonic, but I'm not sure.
Dark Spine?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm the only one who finished that game, just so you know.
In the world, right?
In the world. I might be, dude, because I was the only one. I still like those motion controls, just FYI.
Okay.
They work, and if you take the time to, like, really learn them, you can beat that game really, like, it works.
Why not? Sorry. No, what I was gonna say though, more on that is Sonic Unleashed as well. I remember the ending sequence. I thought was pretty cool at the time. I haven't played it in a while, but or like Sonic Adventure 2. A lot of people like that ending sequence. You know.
Oh, and by the way, you know how you said Sonic the lyrics kind of messed you up?
Yeah.
I was thinking back to like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I was like, I used to love it when they would have those.
That's a bit different though, because that's only at the end. You know.
No, they had some in the middle. Remember? Because like the first level of Sonic Adventure 2 had the rolling around.
That one does. Yeah, that one does have lyrics.
And then at the end it was like, get, live and learn.
Yeah. This one has it. Every fucking Avatar stage has like weird like music where I don't know.
Okay, well,
it's a bit different. I could show you afterwards if you want to see.
I don't know if I want to see, but
yeah,
because you're talking it up so much, Steve.
Matt, no, you know what? Too, I was actually like, man, I should do a playthrough of it. Like, we should play it on the show or whatever. But you can only have one file. That's another thing about this game. You can only have one file.
And I'm assuming you've dug around in like data management and all that stuff, right?
Maybe if you have like another profile, you can start another file.
Oh, maybe we can do that.
Yeah, but it's still like, what the fuck, dude? Just let me. Like, I can't have two files in this game. Are you serious? I think the last thing that I can mention is that there's like free DLC if you bought it the first day or something. It's called Episode Shadow, which fucking is nothing. I'm just gonna say it's nothing because it's just reused stages, but with shadow in them. The stages are like, I know people will argue that it's not reused stages, but they're hardly changed from the regular game. Whatever.
Gotcha. Okay.
I guess not even.
It's a little like, hey, by the way, you can play a Shadow. Come pre-order a game.
There's like.
I think these last 3 years, that kind of thing has always told me if they're offering a lot for the pre-order, don't get it.
It wasn't even a pre-order thing either. It was just like day one. Because
either way, it was like if they're coaxing you to buy it.
Yeah.
It's usually like a thing where it's like, don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because there was if you buy the physical copy, you actually get like those like gamer skins or something for your controller. Like for the Switch controller, you get like little stickers to put on them, and
no.
Yeah. If I had the physical copy, you bet your ass my Joy-Cons would have those on them. But and that's the other thing too. I just wanted something else to play on the Switch.
Yeah, because you beat Odyssey way before I did, so you're probably
and I haven't 100% finished it, but it's at that point where these last couple moons are like, okay, I just do this in every kingdom and it's a moon. I'm like,
okay, yeah,
whatever.
No,
like,
I get that.
It's like, okay, Koopa the Quick in every fucking map. I get it. I don't want to do this anymore. Or like, look through the binoculars in every kingdom. No, I'm just gonna play something.
I'm
else.
saving those because I'm going back to every level and opening up the block and getting all that stuff. I really enjoyed the Mario 64-esque type missions and all that stuff. Those are great.
Right. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to say on Sonic Forces.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents. I'm not saying anybody has to like it. It's just a Sonic game. It's just another Sonic game, So whatever.
Bring back Jet Set Radio.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about it. But the other thing, which is I'm really excited about, is you got to watch one of the series that I really, really dug.
Yeah, I went through Extras. Extras is a show by Ricky Gervais. If you don't know Ricky Gervais, he created The Office. So
the British Office.
Yeah, it was just called The Office before it was brought over here.
Well, because America's always about, that's our version. Every other version's weird.
But yeah, it's a really funny show. It's on Netflix. Ricky Gervais always really surprises me, even in The Office. Talking about the British Office, I guess I'll just call it the British Office.
Well, because only people here would know Jim and Michael Scott and all that stuff. So yeah.
So the British Office is a show like where it's really funny, but at moments you can see that it actually does have a lot of heart, and there's actually like real writing behind it, which is it's amazing. He's a brilliant writer, dude. I'm a very big fan of his,
and arguably a really great actor. Yeah. Arguably, the synopsis of the whole thing is Extras to me is the actor Ricky Gervais trying to sell The Office as a script to the BBC. Like you could interpret that as his time trying to work his way up.
Are you making this into like a clickbait article or
No,
something?
No. This is how I believe, because the story is this character, he's an extra because he's trying to get his script into the hands to somebody.
Right.
Yeah. So within this realm of him being an extra, he's always filming with all these stars. So he'll happen to run into stars because it's part of his day-to-day grind. You know, he shows up on set and, hey, you're shooting a film with like Daniel Radcliffe or Ben Stiller or whatever. So
Patrick
Stewart's another one. So he's always trying to kind of get ahead as an actor.
It's funny though, because every time he meets one of these actors on set, they turn out to be some kind of weird creep or like some kind of strange, like egotistic prick, which I guess is like the whole joke of the show.
Yeah, it's based around that whole that whole idiom where they say "don't meet your heroes,"
right?
Kind of thing. Because he meets Patrick Stewart and he's kind of a pervert. He meets Keira Knightley and she's kind of just a.
No, he meets Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, sorry,
she's
Kate
like
Winslet.
a dirty talking like.
Yeah, she's just all about like her career. She's she loves smut. Ben Stiller's a jerk.
Ben Stiller is one of the funniest ones.
Which is probably why he was the first episode.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's the first episode, and it's funny because he has this joke where he's, or he has this line, I should say, where he's talking about how, like, oh, what am I gonna, he's trying to get them to feel what's going on in this war flick.
Yeah.
And he's like, these kids that are part of war, it's like, he's like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna help them? Put on dodgeball? Yeah, he's gonna laugh for an hour and a half. What am I gonna do after that? Put on dodgeball again? Yeah, he's still gonna laugh because it's layered. It's built that way. it's pretty great. But yeah, check it out if you guys haven't seen it. I highly recommend that show. Although it doesn't have like a laugh track, so it's not that kind of show. If you're not into
because
that.
it is a BBC show. It's like a British comedy. So most of those have kind of a lot of it's dry humor.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais is kind of the master, in my opinion. He's kind of the master of these awkward moments.
Oh yeah,
where you can't help but either look away or just laugh your head off.
I mean,
but Steven mentioned it already, where he said that the great part about The Office was saying that amidst all this laughing, there's all this like heart behind it.
Yeah, there's always some kind of like real story.
Yeah, and I think like because I said like I've watched this series like 4 or 5 times because it's really really great. The more times you watch it, not to be like a Ben Stiller thing, like, yeah, I'm going to laugh, but there's layers to it. There are layers to this thing. Like, once you start watching it from beginning to end, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't pick up on this, because they being an actor is pretty hard on a person's soul, you know, and you get to see little bits of him being like chipped away, because in the beginning of the series, he's one way. And once he gets towards the end of the series, he's a completely different person.
Yeah, and not always for the better. He's changed in kind of a bad way, and then
and ironically, isn't he kind of like the people that he was, like the stars that he met in the first season?
I mean, yeah, sure. One thing I wanted to say about Ricky Gervais too was that I've been watching another show called Toast of London. I just started it, so I'm not going to really talk about it, but it's starring this guy named Matt Berry.
Love Matt Berry.
Matt Berry is, you know him from the IT Crowd, right?
I know him from there's a bunch of stuff I know him from, but yeah, that's the most famous thing he's from.
One thing I noticed about what's different between like Matt Berry and Ricky Gervais' style of comedy is that Matt Berry is more of like an comedic, kind of loud, like performer-esque type of comedian, which is still good. Mm-hmm. Like he knows how to scream, or like he says things funny, and the delivery of things is funny. He makes funny faces and stuff.
Yeah,
that's one way of doing comedy, but Ricky Gervais's way is so great, because I feel like it speaks more to me, somebody who's not like so loud and like always screaming kind of thing. His comedy is really subtle.
Yeah,
and the way he writes things is like, I don't know, more akin to just like sarcasm and like snarky comebacks, or just the way he's always written as kind of like the observer of like these wacky fucking people. Like in Patrick Stewart's case, Patrick Stewart on the show is like this weirdo wants to write a movie where he's Professor Xavier.
He's that type of person.
Yes. Yeah, and he can do things with his mind.
Right.
And all he likes to do is make women naked. And it's so funny because like the watching like Ricky Gervais react to Patrick Stewart like describing all of these scenes is so funny. Like you saw, what is Patrick Stewart? He says one of them is like.
Well, the first one he says is that he says I play a character that's like Charles Xavier, right. But he had just saved all these hostages, these women, from this jungle thing. And like most of their clothes
rotted off.
They've rotted off. But while he's driving the plane, he can see them in the rear view mirror, and they're all naked. And that's the movie.
Yeah. He's just like a James Bond type figure, or something that has mind control or something like.
I just love it because everything ends with he's like, and before she can get her clothes back on, I've seen everything. And that's the line that stuck with me. He's like, I've seen everything. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But it's just like, it's almost like these stars that you see or whatever. Like one of my favorite ones is when he meets. Not him personally, but there's a secondary character that's with him. Her name's Maggie. And, Ricky Gervais gets crapped on for being an extra, but then, like, Maggie's such a brilliant character because she also is an extra, but they treat women completely differently than they treat him.
Yeah.
And you get to see the really shitty side of being an actress who's like an extra because they do horrible things to her. Well, but they're like, oh, but it's just business.
Yeah, more of an... you're like objectively ugly, so you're not gonna make
because,
it in this business kind of way.
Because most people know what Ricky Gervais looks like. He's a little fat, right?
Yeah.
So like, but they'll use him in anything. It doesn't matter. He could be a soldier. He could be this. He could be that. But once she is put into a role where she has to be like in one part she's a whore. He's like. They're all like, I don't know about this whore. Like, of all the whores you bring me this whore?
Yeah.
I think my standards are a little higher than that. He's like, well, we could put mud on her face, really, muddy her up and make her look like a really dirty whore. We could do it that way. And then she's standing right there just getting the brunt of this.
Yeah.
And they don't even apologize to her or acknowledge that she's there.
Maggie is a really good character, I think, mostly because she's like, what am I trying to say? She's really relatable because she's not like the joke is that she's kind of stupid, right?
I would say naive.
Okay, yeah, naive, but she's more like the character I think the audience can relate to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, something about her is really charming, and it's funny like all these situations she gets put in because like she'll date some guy and then things will go wrong, and like I don't want to give away all the jokes, but she does end up dating like this black guy. Mm-hmm. And she can't stop being like racist around him. Basically, she has like these racist little. She has a racist doll, and she tries to get rid of it. And he obviously sees her and all this stuff. But
like the reason that I really like Maggie is that like you get to see that perspective of it. So it's really nice that like Ricky Gervais included that character, so you get to see both sides and how subjective it is. Right. That's the like Maggie, in my opinion, is the hard part of the entire thing because her and Ricky Gervais kind of their dynamic changes as they go through it.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, the heart of the series because as the series progresses, they kind of drift apart. So it's almost like Ricky's losing the part of him that was human, which is what kind of Maggie represents. It's just I
mean, that's a good way of putting it. She's very human.
Yeah,
because even the they always have these little talks where she's like, "Would you rather do this or would you rather do this?" And they're always like ridiculous scenarios, or like when she tries to help him out with something, she always fucks it up. It's the classic odd couple, I guess you would say, like where they're two different people, And,
and I like it because their dynamic is always a set of friends, and their romantic
doesn't really
there's
exist.
no romantic connection there.
Yeah,
and it's never really called into question because they're just friends.
I know that's another reason I like the show. It's almost like
and it's a genuine friendship. It looks like a genuine friendship.
Yeah, it's almost like My Fair Lady or something. It's not necessarily like a romantic thing, but they respect each other as people equally, kind of thing. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hard part of the whole thing. But like, for example, in in Maggie's case, when she interacts with celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
that naivete is really great because the episode with Orlando Bloom is really great because Maggie is like just one of those people who she's just like everybody else, where some people are like, oh my God, that guy is so dreamy, but she's just like, oh, well, he doesn't do it for me, because people have had that kind of reaction. Like right now, I think, who's the guy who plays Sherlock that you were mentioning earlier?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, so people are losing their, like, there's all these ladies who are losing their mind for that guy. But some are like, I don't get the attraction. So that's the joke in this episode, that she's interacting a lot with Orlando Bloom. And he's like, oh, dude, it's crazy because, like, so many women want to kiss me. But, like, you know, they can't because they got to kiss Johnny Depp over there. And they're just like, ugh, Johnny Depp, give me the Orlando Bloom. And she's like, well, that's nice. But he's, like, still trying to get her attention throughout the whole thing. And it's like this person who's supposed to be this big, confident movie star who all these women are going after.
She says something, too, like, oh, they wouldn't be, all those women wouldn't be fawning over you if you were just a regular guy. It's
It's
only because you're like a multi-million-dollar actor or something. And he's like, what? No, you're joking. And he's like, look at this face. I would always get this attention.
Didn't they bring a magazine that says sexiest man?
Yeah, he has like... he
literally has droves of women wanting to make out with him, but just because Maggie is calling into question he's very vain. And it's great because her naivete is what brought that out.
Yeah,
she's not trying to do it.
I love too that he's always insulting Johnny Depp for some reason.
Yeah, he's like, ugh, Johnny. Ugh.
Yeah, he's like, I have this great kiss scene with Keira Knightley, and then she looks at Johnny and she's like, oh, please no, ugh, yuck. Who is that?
I just love that because he's super insecure, and I think it was around that time where it was like, they did Pirates 1.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure
then Pirates 2, I think he opted out of Pirates 2.
Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, not Johnny Depp.
Orlando
Bloom. He just didn't. I think it's because he was going back to reshoot Lord of the Rings. Arguably, that was a better choice anyway. But
he gets a lot of big actors in the show, too. Like,
yeah, and I think there might be... I don't know if this is completely true, but I've heard that the BBC has, like, contracts and stuff with certain people so they can pull them in for different things. Because I know in the BBC, they have a certain amount of licensing music. Well, like, you could play the Beatles in your show if you're part of the BBC.
Oh, really? That's
like,
cool.
They have a lot of music that they can use.
Oh, yeah, because they have recording studios.
Exactly. So it's all under the blanket of the BBC, so they can use it for anything.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So there's different rules over there.
But I would assume that would only be British actors, because he does. He does get Samuel Jackson at one point.
Oh my gosh, that part was.
And then he gets, like we said, he gets Ben Stiller, and he gets. Well, I guess Daniel Radcliffe would be a British actor.
That episode had me rolling. That episode had me rolling so much.
The Daniel Radcliffe episode. He what Harry Potter movie was out at that time? Basically,
he was done with Harry Potter by that point.
He was.
He was done.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Because he acts kind of like a preteen, or like like a teenage, almost like he's almost 18, but maybe he's 17 or something.
Yeah. I think when they finished Harry Potter, he was just at the cusp of being 18.
Yeah.
So maybe he wasn't done with them. Maybe he was, because remember, like the movies were shot a year ahead. But like in the show, he's still playing this character called the Last Boy Scout. And the motto for the show is like, always be prepared.
Yeah.
So that's and that's the great thing about like the first season of Extras. They always start the show with they're shooting they're shooting whatever movie it is,
and it's always like a really cheesy.
Yeah, it's always a really cheesy scene, or it's like a really dramatic scene, and they go cut, and then it starts the show. And apparently Radcliffe is this horny little.
Yeah, he's this horny little hormonal teenager. He tries to hit on Maggie at one point. It's funny too, because the way he tries to impress her is that he has cigarettes.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are called fags in England, and he says, "See this, huh?" And he holds up a box of cigarettes, and he goes, "Fags, yeah, that's right, fags." And then his mom walks by, and he throws them at Maggie, and he goes. He says something like, "Oh, see there you go, see those pieces." I can't get in trouble. It's funny.
A really great scene with them. I had to say this because I love this scene. Is Radcliffe is trying to get laid.
Right.
You can tell he's never had sex, so he's trying to get laid. And the other thing in England is they call condoms. They call them Johnnies.
Yeah.
So in his little like Boy Scout pocket, like in the front pocket thing, he pulls out an already unwrapped
Condom,
and rolled out condom, and he's like, "Look, I have my own condom," and then he flicks it.
Yeah, it's a huge one, by the way. It's a really big condom. It's a great scene.
But the fact that he has it already unrolled and ready to go, it just like speaks volumes about how unprepared he is.
Yeah,
it's
like
just so good.
How did he get that? By the way, like it brings into question.
How did he get the cigarettes?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He's Daniel Radcliffe.
Exactly. He could do whatever he wants. He's Harry Potter. But yeah, it's a freaking awesome series, and the great thing that I've heard, I haven't watched the entirety of The Office.
Really?
No, I haven't watched the entirety. I've seen episodes of it.
The end of that series is really good, man.
That's the Christmas special, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the way I understand Ricky Gervais, he's done these two series the exact same way, where there's 2 seasons and then a special.
There's 2 seasons, and they're pretty short, too. I think Extras was like 9 episodes per season.
I thought it was like 8 or 7. I thought
really,
it was less.
They're really short, and then their end
is a special.
Yeah, is a Christmas special.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and that's great because like if it was like an American show, they would find some way to keep it going because it was popular.
It's funny that you say that too, because in the show, in Extras, Andy Millman, who's played by Ricky Gervais, is always talking about how I don't want to make a sitcom with a laugh track.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to make something that's like made for a broad audience. I want to do something that I really like or that people will respect me for.
Right.
And that's kind of what The Office is. The British Office is a very like, I told my story, it's over. Whereas like the American Office is like, after season 5, they were really reaching.
They were
for
really
like any
so they
kind
expanded
of
the cast and they just did whatever. That's what I mean. Like that. See, that's why I think that like Extras. It's he hasn't said it is, but it feels like that's his time trying to get his script made and how it could have gone. Because it totally goes haywire on him, because he's Ricky Gervais and that's funny.
Yeah.
But, it makes sense that these kind of struggles would be something that he would have to have done to get his script into the right hands.
I think if you're a person that likes to create things, or if you're somebody who likes to write things, or any kind of creative person, I think you can really identify with Ricky Gervais in this show.
Yeah.
He really goes through the stages of like, like I'm well into past my prime. I'm 43, and he's still waiting for his big break. And then when he finally gets something, it's not really what he wanted, and he's not getting the respect from his peers that he thinks he deserves. Like it's like people just get like that. They think they deserve something when they put in, they've paid their dues. They want to be respected and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's why I say the show is really real and it has a lot of heart behind it, because that stuff really shines true in like especially the ending of the show. So
the ending of the show, and I told this to Steve beforehand, I was like, that is probably the best ending to a sitcom I've ever seen.
It's pretty good.
I think 2 things work for it. One, it's a really tight story because it's 2 seasons, and that's the end.
Yeah, he really knows when to end stuff.
Yeah, there's a really good arc from the beginning of this guy's journey to the very end, and it all. What's great is that he ends the entire series in one glorious kind of scene, and Steven knows what I'm talking about. It's just this great little scene, and then it basically there's a little epilogue that happens after that, but it ends on such a great, inspiring note.
Yeah,
and this is a comedy. I'm talking about a comedy series, but the way I'm talking about it right now seems like it's some sort of drama.
Right,
but it's true. It just ends so great. And then he never did that character again. He never pushed it beyond that.
Right.
And it just, that's the other thing that's working for it. He knows when to end things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually made me curious about like his other shows that he's done, because I know he's done Derek.
I've heard bad things about Derek.
I've never seen it, so I want to watch it. Maybe it's good. But all this British stuff gets recommended to me on Netflix now.
Yeah, like I recommended Toast of London to Steven because I'm a huge. I don't know about huge. I guess I'm in a Matt Berry type of stick because Matt Berry got really famous to us here in the IT crowd.
Right, you told me that.
But he was on other shows like Darth Marenghi's Dark Place, which was on Adult Swim for a little bit.
Right, yeah.
He plays a supporting character in that one. But he's a writer. So most of these shows that he's on, he helps either write or he created himself.
Yeah, Toast of London, I think it's a little bit too early for me to critique it anyway, but what I can say is it's not like any show I've ever seen. It's very like...
It's very British.
It's a very... I don't know about very British either. It's a very like fever dreamish kind of show where like nothing really makes sense, and I'm not even sure there's continuity within these episodes. But
There is.
It's a little bit all over the place. So,
but think of it more like if you're watching, like I relate that more to Mr. Bean, where there's this kind of reality where this is possible.
I used to love
What
Mr.
I mean?
Bean. Man.
Mr. Bean's a great. Rowan Atkinson is the only famous mime I've ever known.
Yeah, say what you will about a laugh track. I still think that show is pretty great. Like,
oh yeah,
there's something to be said about someone who can make you laugh without any kind of like.
Yeah, like
audio,
there's hardly
basically.
any dialogue in that whole thing. But Mr. Bean, I could. That's a great thing. He made the show. I think I remember seeing an interview where he talks about how he wanted the show to be. Like, Rowan Atkinson's a really, really smart dude when you hear him talk or whatever. But he was like, we want to make these... Mr. Bean was created as this character who could speak to anybody in any language because he has no language of himself.
That's great, dude. That's cool. It's like Charlie Chaplin or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like the whole scene in the beginning where he falls from heaven or anything, he's like this... He's this creature that is... He's like any character that I've ever liked is that he goes based on his own selfish instincts. That's all Mr. Bean is. Right. And he has his little quips that he likes to do, but it's mostly self-indulgent.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. Like he has no basically like he has no language restrictions.
Right.
I like that about it because it's kind of the same reason I like music without lyrics is like anybody can really appreciate it without having to say like like if I were to put on some fucking Japanese song in my car. Mm-hmm. You get funny looks just because people are like, I don't understand what they're saying or something, as opposed to a song that has American lyrics or whatever. But instrumental songs, it's like, hey, anybody can enjoy this without any kind of weird fucking smirk or, like reaction to it. And it's the same thing with film and stuff like that, because I remember seeing some of those Pixar shorts that don't have any audio, like what was it called? Feast?
Feast is a great one.
It's the one featuring the little dog, and he's like he eats stuff when his owner drops stuff, and his owner gets in a relationship, all this stuff. It's cool because I remember we went to go see that with our aunt who doesn't speak English, and she was able to understand this whole fucking thing just by visuals without even having to like read subtitles or like even ask us about anything. It was just it's there. There's all the information on screen, visuals. It's cool. I think it takes a lot of skill to do that,
Yeah, and I think Matt Berry likes to do that a lot in that he's very theatrical. Mm-hmm. You were saying that, Ricky Gervais is very like these moments, but there's heavy dialogue and everything.
The writing is
the writing is very almost real, if you want to call it that. Matt Berry is in this place where he can be super theatrical, and it's almost like he's on a stage all the time.
Yeah,
because the way he talks.
He's a very flamboyant character.
Exactly. But he finds these ways to make these stupid little scenes just so much funnier because of the delivery. And that's what it is. It's his delivery that makes everything so funny. Right. Like that scene that I got turned on to for Toast of London, where they ask him like to come over and do this voice acting.
Right.
And it's like it's the bane of his existence for that day. It's like a thorn in his side. He's like, do I really? He's like, is this gonna take all day? And he's like, yes. He's like, okay, so what is it? What is it? He's like, there's this on the script. He's like, there's only the word yes on here. And he's like, yes, that's what we need you to do. And he's like, okay. And he goes, yes. And he looks over and they're like, okay, can we do one more toast? He's like, okay. Yes. And then the whole scene is just that word. And then there's this really stupid part where he's like, can you do it without the script? We think it's holding you back. And he's like, okay. And he puts it to the side.
And he looks at it.
He looks at it really quick and then says, yes.
It's really funny. It's almost like a skit or something,
Yeah, and it's like I noticed that you talked about it being like 30 Rock. And 30 Rock, if you guys don't know, it's the Tina Fey a sitcom that was on NBC where it was like a hyper reality of her time doing SNL. But
Is that how she describes it? Because that's
well, no, I don't know if that's what it is, but it just definitely feels like
it does. No, I was gonna say because you described it pretty well like that. It is not. It's not. 30 Rock isn't a show that really feels like real. It
no,
feels
it's
like
definitely
it's kind of exaggerated.
Yeah. Because like everything, it has this great Seinfeld like gag in it where things from one episode from way back when have these little tiny cameos in other ones.
Right.
Like there's this stupid joke where Alec Baldwin tries to make up these stupid slogans for a thing he's doing. He's like, so and so is so great. He knows how to squeeze his subordinates' mind grapes to get this juicy ideas out of them. And Tina Fey's like, that's horrible. Nobody ever says that. And then 2 episodes later, Tracy Morgan's like, man, I gotta relax about mind grapes. And everybody starts saying mind grapes from then on, but nobody's ever heard it. You know, it's like these recurring themes. And Toast of London is very much like that because it's him doing his voice acting with these like flamboyant dudes who are in the recording room.
Yeah.
And they just pick on him because like they know they have him by the balls that he has to be there to do these recordings. And he's like, they would never treat a star like that. They would never do that to somebody whose time's valuable. But because this is Toast of London, it's like this weird. He's like just the one word.
Not to mention how like every episode seems to end without any kind of wrap up. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes the episode will just end, and I'm like, okay, so none of that stuff was really like worked out or anything, you know? Like,
exactly.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure if I should, critique it or like give my review on it because I've only seen about 3 episodes. But
no, and maybe later on you like the great thing about a lot of the stuff that Matt Berry's in is short episodes because I think there's only 6 seasons or 6 episodes per season.
Yeah, and there's only 3 seasons.
There's only 3 seasons, and then the IT Crowd is literally 6 episodes per season, and there's only 3 seasons. And there's one like movie-ish 4th season because it's just like 4 episodes stacked right behind each other. Well, yeah, so you should definitely like if you like Toast of London, you'll definitely like that one because it's not as theatrical as that one. So it's not 30 Rock, but it's not Ricky Gervais. It's somewhere in between. I
also watched. I've been watching a lot of British stuff. If you haven't noticed, it's also because I watch Audrey Hepburn movies, and because of that, a bunch of British things will just come up.
Harry Higgins.
Yeah, a bunch of British things will get put up on my thing. Faulty Towers, if you've ever heard of Faulty Towers.
It's a great show.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a great show.
I only saw one episode, and it's obviously it's John Cleese. Everyone loves this guy. He's I don't know if
it's a very British. It's a very like British silly comedy kind of thing.
Is he in Monty Python? Is that what he is in?
Yeah.
John Cleese.
Yeah.
This is like him in the late 60s, early 70s. He's really young.
Yeah.
But it's him. He owns like a hotel with his wife and stuff. It's pretty funny. I only saw one episode though, so that one has a laugh track.
You're gonna start getting recommended for things like Are You Being Served, which is a sitcom-y kind of thing about a department store.
Apparently, people in Britain are not too keen on like sitcom humor. It's really lowbrow to them.
Yeah, it is. But whatever, I freaking eat it up. Keeping Up Appearances. Okay, that's a really good one that's going to come up too. And then one that I discovered that's called Black's Books, which is about this guy who owns a bookstore.
Yeah, that one was on there too.
Yeah, he's and it's short seasons as well, but it's a really good trio series as well. I think you'll like them.
Well, I'll check some of those out. I'll come back next week and I'll let you guys know if you guys give a shit. If it's not, maybe it's not your cup of tea, as they say over there.
Oh, because they're British.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think we're gonna wrap this episode up. So.
And just one last thing, just because I thought it was a little interesting. Steven figured out this week because we've been playing a lot of Super Nintendo stuff. You figured out that
you wanted to mention this?
Yeah, it's just a funny little thing. The Wii came out with a little fight stick because of Tatsunoko versus Capcom back in the day.
Yeah.
And the little connection to the Wii controller. It
works on the Super Nintendo.
It works on the Super
basically.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
So this guy was busting out Street Fighter 2. Is doing dukes with the little fight stick.
So if you guys have a Wii stick, it works with the Super Nintendo Classic, and it's pretty cool. You don't have to change the button configure or anything.
Because it instantly works. That's pretty neat.
It was pretty cool. That was your final thought then?
No, it's just a little quip.
What are your final thoughts on this podcast?
Well, final thoughts is I actually like I had asked you, he's like, hey, after you play Sonic Forces, let me borrow it for a little bit. But you have it digital, so it didn't matter. But now I kind of don't want to play it because I don't want to be. You're not selling it to me. Like I don't want to.
I wouldn't play it if I was.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go back and play Stardew Valley after I'm done. Like when I get a little bored with Odyssey, I'll go back and play Stardew Valley.
You haven't started Stardew Valley.
No, I'm up to like 2 weeks, I think.
Okay.
So I'm still kind of playing it, but not sold on that. But for British TV, love British TV.
Yeah.
I've been playing with the idea of watching Doctor Who, but to be honest, it's like there's so much Doctor Who that it's daunting.
Yeah, it's like 900 million episodes. It's like the fucking Naruto of British TV.
That's a good.
Yeah,
that's a good one, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. You know what's funny too? I know this is we're just going all over the place here.
It's kind of what this podcast is, Steve.
Yeah, I was thinking about picking up Doom for Switch because I wanted to talk about it too, but a lot of people are saying that the port is really bad and really glitchy.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like, well, maybe
I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I don't want to get it then because it's like $60, so I don't want.
Well, to be honest, Doom came out and it came and went. You know, it's. I heard that it was
good.
No, I heard it was like gory as hell and it was a fun romp, but like, who's talking about it now?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it came out on Switch. I don't know.
It's like this thing that's like, did you even realize that Assassin's Creed came out?
That's Assassin's Creed, though, man. Come on, don't.
But it's one of those things like it came out, people were like, "Oh yeah," and then the next week they were like, "Eh."
No, I understand. Yeah. Whatever. Then.
But yeah, I understand. You're like, I want something for my Switch.
I just want you to play on the Switch. Yeah, you know, like I really want to play a Hat in Time, but I'm not gonna wait for it to come out on the Switch. It's gonna be like a fucking year.
I'm thinking about going back and buying some of those SNK stuff, like.
Nah, I don't think you should.
No, like King of Fighters or something. Something
maybe.
like that.
Who knows?
But like you had mentioned the other, I forget which podcast it was, but you're like Rocco just uses the Switch now to play all these indie games that he didn't get to play earlier.
Yeah, you know what? Because Rime is coming out. This game that was on every other console. It's like a puzzle. It's almost like Ico. Mm-hmm. It's like a platforming puzzle kind of game. Mm-hmm. It's finally coming out on Switch, so I might get it, but it's $30. I don't know. So
yeah, that's a little bit much. Because I don't want to buy the Binding of Isaac again.
Yeah, I know, and all this stuff is discounted on everything else, so I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. Those are our final thoughts.
We got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it for this week, guys. See you next week.
See you guys.